Hi everyone, welcome to Create Art with Miss Jane. I'm Miss Jane and today we will be creating a mythical dragon, which is a legendary symbol of Chinese culture. And we're going to do this in celebration of Lunar New Year and the new moon that occurs sometime between January 21st and February 20th, according to the Western calendar. The origins of Lunar New Year are based on legend. According to one legend, thousands of years ago, a monster named Nian, or Year, would attack villagers at every New Year's Eve. But this monster was afraid of loud noises, bright lights, and the color red. So these things were used to chase the monster away. Celebrations often include firecrackers, fireworks, red clothes, and red decoration. Young people are often given money in red envelopes for good luck. Lunar New Year is celebrated all around the world. It's also known as Chinese New Year to some and is also celebrated as the Spring Festival. This year, Lunar New Year fell on Tuesday, February 1st, and it's traditionally a time for family reunions, a lot of food and celebration. It's a time when ancestors are honored and ceremonies are held. Lunar New Year has been celebrated around the world for about 3,500 years. And people join together to welcome the new year with customs to bring good luck, good fortune, wealth, prosperity, and happiness. Today, we will create the mythical dragon that represents power, strength, and good luck. So before we begin, let's just go over some of the materials that we're going to need. For this program, you're going to need a pencil, an eraser, and my eraser is for big mistakes, just in case. We're going to need an assortment of brushes. I've got some round, flat, big, small, different types of brushes. We're going to need a container of water. I like to use a recycled pasta sauce jar. I just run that through the dishwasher and then I use that to put water in. That's where we're going to clean our brushes. We're going to also need, you could use canvas or watercolor or mixed media paper. And we're going to need, I'd recommend using a black Sharpie. We're also going to need a few pieces of paper towels. And this is optional. If you like, you could use some painter's tape. And this also is optional, but this is a little container of some salt, some coarse salt. And a few tips before we begin. So try not to let the metal part of your paintbrush scrape against the paper because that'll cause a tear. And try to use gentle sweeping motions with your brush. And if you hold your brush at an angle, you will have more control. Don't use too much water because again, that can cause your paper to tear. And if your water gets dirty, just make sure that you rinse it out because you'll lose the brightness of your paint. And lastly, remember that your paintings are all going to look different. There's no wrong way of painting this project, so don't worry if your painting doesn't look exactly like mine. It's really not supposed to. It'll be beautiful and unique, just as we are all beautiful and unique. And what I want from you today, as always, is just for you to have fun and enjoy the process, for you to enjoy art and creating. So I'm going to switch my view. Okay, so I want you to actually, if you want, you could paint, you could tape the borders of your paper. That'll help to hold it down um, tape the borders with painter's tape rather to create a border, and that'll also hold your paper down. And I'm going to be using a marker, a Sharpie marker, so that you could see, but I would like you to actually just use a pencil. And I'm going to show you how we actually did an outline at first. So let's just cover this up so it's not too distracting. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to do, and you're going to use your pencil for this, is you're going to draw an oval shape on your paper in the left corner, and you're going to draw a large oval shape, and that's just going to be a guide. We'll erase that oval shape later on, but that's going to be your guide for where you're going to place the dragon's head. So now that you've got your oval shape, we're going to draw a large loose squiggle to form a serpent or a snake-like body. So we're gonna connect that from the head, and we're just gonna draw a curve, and then we're gonna loop it up and then go down. I'm gonna leave a little space because I'm going to draw a matching curve on top. So I'm gonna leave a little bit of space and then continue that and curve that up. So we're gonna leave about an inch, and we're going to draw a second matching curving shape because that's going to form the body of the dragon. You're gonna go underneath and then curve up. So this is the basic outline of our dragon. So then we're going to go ahead and we're going to add more details to it. You could keep on drawing with yours. I'm actually going to switch to my second pre-drawn template so that you can better see. So you'll work with that. And within that oval shape that we have, we're going to start drawing the features of the face. So the first part we will draw is you're going to draw the eye. So I want you to draw kind of a curved, slanting down almond shape, almost like a football, and then a circle inside, and you could go ahead and color in the eye. So that's the first step, is to just draw the eye. And that's going to be within your oval shape, somewhere close to the middle. And then we're going to start drawing some horns and part of the mane. So they're kind of angled lines curving up, a couple of more curved lines. And then we're going to draw the forehead sloping down. And then to the side of the face, a couple of ridges. And kind of like the snout of the dragon. And then we're going to draw almost like a backwards C. We're going to draw the mouth, the chin, and a little bit of a beard. And I'm going to just remember to use your pencil, but I'm just outlining that curve shape, that we had in the beginning. So you should, at this point, you should already have your body, but I'm just going to outline it so you can see mine. So that's the basic serpent-like body that I just outlined so that you could see yours should be drawn already. And now you're going to draw an upward curved line coming out of the mouth. And it's just gonna be a thin tongue that's coming out of the mouth. We're going to draw a nostril, and that too you could shade in with your pencil. And then I'm going to add just a couple of detail lines and then a whisker. So a little whisker on the side. And then at this point, we're going to draw one of the limbs. And that limb is going to come from the body. It's going to curve up, and we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 claws. And then I'm going to curve that down. I'm going to do the same thing over here towards the tail end, drawing a limb coming out from the tail with 4 claws. Now we're going to draw a tail of flames. And then we're going to add short angled triangle shapes along its back. They almost look like shark fins. We're going to do that all along the back of our dragon. And these little shapes are going to get a little bit smaller as it comes down to the tail. So then our next step is going to be to create some scales. And these scales are going to look almost like V shapes, and they're going to connect. And you could do them as big or as little as you want. So they're just like interconnecting V shapes. And as you create this, you could kind of move your arm following the serpent so that they're angled as well. And just add those scales, those connecting V shapes along the entire body of your dragon. If your hand gets tired, just shake your hand out. A lot of details we're adding here. Okay. So at this point, I would like you to take your Sharpie marker and I want you to trace over all of your pencil drawing so that it's all outlined in black sharper. While you're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to erase my guideline, my oval. Once you're done outlining in your black Sharpie, you can erase your oval guideline as well. Just erasing a few of my pencil marks. Okay, so once your dragon is all outlined with your Sharpie marker, it's time for us to paint our mythical dragon. And we're going to use the complementary colors. Those are opposites on the color wheel. We're going to use the complementary colors of blue and orange because it gives a good contrast. Blue is a cooler color and orange evokes or gives a feeling of warmth, reminding us of the heat of summer, while blue gives a cool feeling like water. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to take maybe a medium-sized brush, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to paint the entire body of our dragon. And again, I'm going to be using watercolors. So we're going to paint the dragon's body mainly in orange with a few patches of yellow. So I'm going to go ahead and just show you my final again. So you could see that it's mostly in orange. I do have some maybe darker patches of orange and red and a couple patches of yellow. So, and the flame is going to be the orange with the yellow inside. So let's go ahead and start painting her dragon. So what I'm going to do is, I think I'm going to start with the yellow and paint the yellow first. So I want the whisker to be yellow. And I want, oh, I almost forgot. I also would like an eyebrow. That's what was missing. So draw in an eyebrow on top of the eye. And that eyebrow, I'm going to go ahead and paint yellow. So remember, don't use too much water. We want our colors to be opaque, so a little bit bolder. And try to use a small paintbrush so that you could stay within the lines. And while I have my yellow on my paintbrush, I'm going to just randomly, paint some areas yellow. And again, I don't want too much water. And I'm not painting each individual scale. You can if you would like, but I'm just painting areas, little patches of yellow. And then I will paint in orange. These are just random, wherever you would like these patches to be. But the tail, we're going to paint the inside yellow because we want it to look like a flame. Now that, and I think I want to put a little bit of yellow here on the mane. Okay. Could also do a double coat to make it a little bit deeper. So now that we have our yellow, I'm going to clean my brush and I'm going to pick out an orange color. And I'm going to go ahead and paint the rest of the body orange. If you've got 2 shades of orange, you can paint with both shades. And try to stay inside the lines. The main line of the serpent rather. I'm just continuing to paint the head of the dragon. So carefully trying to fill in all the white spots. If you ever do get too much water, you could just spread that paint around as best as you can, or you could carefully blot out the excess water with your paper towels. Go ahead and finish the rest of the serpent's body. And I'm using a combination of my dark orange as well as my medium orange. Trying to not paint over those jagged triangular shapes. And again, use flowing movements of your brush, sweeping back and forth. It's tricky, but try not to paint over those fin-like structures. Also going to paint the limb. The claws. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and use one of my reds and make the tail a reddish color. Even layer it and have a little bit of red as well as a little bit of orange. And then I'm going to add those colors in. A little bit of water if you need to. Just softening the edges. And go a little bit outside, it's fine. Don't worry. Just kind of blending our colors in a little bit. Okay, so that's how I like how that looks. Might actually add a tinge more orange over here. Notice that's a little lighter. You can always do touch-ups as you see fit. Okay, now I am actually going to rinse out my brush and put that aside. We're going to be painting, so I want to show you my final. So this is our dragon so far, and we are going to be painting those little shark-like pieces with a little bit of yellow on the inside for a few of them, and mostly just green. So you'll see this is my final with a little bit of yellow on the inside and then green on the outside, or you could paint it in all green. As always, you are the artist, so you get to choose what you would like to do. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take a little bit of yellow with a round, smaller brush. And I'm going to go ahead and paint a few of those with yellow inside those triangle shapes. Just kind of randomly doing it. Okay, I'm going to clean out my brush. And I'm going to wipe it on the napkin. A little bit more water. And then I'm going to use kind of like the little regular Crayola green, not the dark green, but if you want, you can use the dark green. And carefully paint in those triangle shapes. And again, I'm not using too much water because I don't want the colors to run. I'm going to paint in all of those shapes through the dragon's entire body. Of an eraser. Over. Just continuing throughout the dragon's entire body, using kind of short, brisk movements. It's a little trickier as they get smaller, but as always, just do your best. All right. So now I'm going to take a smaller paintbrush and I'm going to paint the tongue red carefully. We got a couple dashes here too. Just a little bit more. Okay. Rinse out my brush. And finally, I'm going to take a larger paintbrush and we're going to go ahead and we're going to paint the background. So we're going to paint the background blue and we're going to use I'm going to use 2 shades of blue, maybe a little bit of purple as well. And I'm going to show you my final piece. So as you see towards the center, I'm using a turquoise. And then as it gets darker, I use some purple. And then the outermost edge is the darker blue. And for the whole background, we want to use kind of a sweeping circular motion. For these bigger areas of the canvas or your paper, it's okay to use a bigger paintbrush. But as you get inside these little areas, I'd recommend using a smaller paintbrush so that you could get into those areas that require more details. So let's go ahead and we could start with painting your blue background. And as I said, I'll start with this bigger brush, but as I need to get into these little areas, I'll switch over to a smaller brush. And it's just kind of a circular motion. And as you hold your paintbrush to the side, you can have more control holding it on its side. This entire area, I'm going to go ahead and paint in that turquoise blue. I'm going to go ahead and rinse out. And I'm going to find a smaller paintbrush and really get into those little areas that are smaller. And ultimately, we want to make sure that all the white pieces of the paper are all painted in. And slowly and carefully get into those little tiny spaces. And then I want to actually start painting in using a different blue, my darker blue. Outside of it. So I have just about all of the areas closest to the dragon filled in. And then I'm gonna rinse out my brush. And then I'm going to add some purple in as well. then I want the darker blue to be so my background is a combination of the dark blue, purple, and the turquoise. You can also go over a second time if you want it to be a little bit deeper. Try to cover all of your paper. So the last step is, if you want, you're going to actually have to, you could add the salt, and I'll show you my final again. So there's just a couple little grains of salt, and it's gonna make it look, it's gonna give it some nice texture and maybe look like little stars in the background. So if you would like, this is optional, is you could add the salt, but you're gonna have to make sure that your background is a little bit wet. So I'm gonna go ahead and add more paint. So I'm just going to sprinkle while it's wet, sprinkle a little bit of the paint, of the salt on the paint. And just the areas that are wet. Okay, and then we are done. And once you, once that your painting is dried, that might take a little while, and so just let it lay flat and let it dry. And once your painting is dry, you could go ahead and use your marker to sign your beautiful masterpiece. I just signed mine in the lower right corner with my initials. And then you are all done. Okay, so this is one of my finals. You can see it. And I hope that you enjoyed this session, and I hope that you can sign up for the rest of my programs that are online, and I hope to do a couple more of these recordings so that you could do these at your pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us, and see you next time. Bye-bye.